Hi guys, what's
Hi.
up? Welcome back again to our live stream. This is Gian together with Dave. Ano,
David,
kamusta Dave?
hello. Okay lang naman.
So, para
Tignan
ano ba
ako parang
Dave?
ngayon.
Ha?
Okay pa naman ako ngayon. Malamang
Okay.
bago ko sabihin live.
Dapat okay ka ngayon. Baka nakapagpahinga ka rin.
Okay ako ngayon. Excited ako para sa topic natin.
Ay, very good. Oo nga, maganda yung topic natin for today. So today, our topic is really pretty interesting. You know, today we'll be talking about something very, very, I think, timely and important, and that is actually SOGIE. You know, so SOGIE means, SOGIE means sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, and how. Ay, mali pala. Tama, gender expression. Tama, no? Tama. And this is something that will be helpful for us individuals because we get to understand who we are. So our guest for today is actually Janlee Dunka. She has been featured in many, many articles, and she's actually paving the way for the LGBTQ community on equality. You know, today she'll be sharing with us what SOGIE is all about and I've been better understanding it. Kasi first time ko mag-SOGIE with her last, ano ba yun? A few months back, a few weeks back.
Ako din. Yeah, a few weeks back. As in, grabe. Mas naintindihan na namin.
Correct. Na sobrang naintindihan ko rin yung that time. Parang, ganun pala ibig sabihin nun. Okay yan So yan. So without further ado, let's introduce Miss Janlee. Miss Janlee, kamusta?
Hello, kamusta?
Hi Dave. Hi Gian. I'm good. How are you?
Okay naman. Ito, interested kami sa malaman about SOGIE and I think it's something very timely for us now, di ba? May, di ba may bill na ginagawa for, or may, ano na ba siya, law or bill?
SOGIE bill.
Correct. The SOGIE quality bill.
Yes.
SOGIE
quality. Madami rin kaming questions about SOGIE. Ako, madami ang questions. Si Dave, madami ang questions. Para maintindihan namin what really SOGIE is all about. It's just kind of cool.
Sagutin natin lahat yan tonight.
Yay! Pero bago lahat, no, kailangan natin makilala muna ikaw. Yan, sige, pakilala muna natin.
First things first. Introduce yourself.
Yon.
Para sa ating mga viewers.
So first of all, thank you for having me. I am super happy to be with Experience Philippines tonight because I know it's a very relevant platform for Filipinos. So I know it will be very useful to spread awareness tungkol sa mga relevant issues. And isa na dyan, of course, ang gender equality at gender sensitivity, which we will be talking about tonight by knowing more about SOGIE. So again, my name is Janlee Dunka. I'm a PR practitioner. I've been working in Castro Communications for almost 10 years now. So we're a gender progressive. Diba? Ayan, tumatanda. Napag-ahala tayo edad natin.
wala naman sa look siya.
Hindi naman halata.
Ayan. Hindi ko na lang sinabi. Joke lang. But, so we're a gender progressive PR firm. So we are proudly LGBT-led. And with apart from promoting or doing PR for different lifestyle brands in the country, we also push forward the LGBTQIA+ advocacy. So personally, ako I conduct mga talks in organizations, companies, in schools, in different forms of types of organizations. I conduct SOGIE and gender sensitivity talks to spread more awareness on our advocacy. So apart from that, I'm also a member of STRAP, or the Society of Transsexual Women of the Philippines, and also Love Yourself. Love Yourself is an HIV/AIDS awareness organization, and that's also where I learned more about SOGIE. So I'm excited to share my knowledge to everyone tonight.
Oo nga, ako nagpunta na ako before sa Love Yourself, dun sa may Mandaluyong. Tama, no? Sa Mandaluyong.
Yes, sa Anglo Clinic natin.
Yes, Anglo Clinic, yes. Actually, doon ko nalaman about, like, doon ko naintindihan rin about, like, how, before kasi isip ko parang hindi masyadong popular yung like have yourself tested and all that stuff. Parang doon ko na-appreciate that you should, and hindi lang naman siya for just to be scared because you're scared or anything, but they actually teach you a lot of stuff there, like what happens and what you need to understand. Tsaka yun doon ko na first time yung SOGIE. Doon ko naintindihan nga. Galing nga, magaling nga.
Oo, actually, good to know that you visited one of our clinics. Kasi tama ka, di ba? Sexual health is part of our holistic health. So dapat regular tayo nagpapatest, especially if we are sexually active. So dapat di tayo nahihiya kasi ito ang masama doon.
Actually, kaya nga gusto ko yung topic na to kasi nga I think it's really something that people should discuss, and it should be an open conversation that people can share their views and share their ideas and concerns as well, no? Kasi, and also clarification kasi madami tayong stereotype ideas, preconceived notions. Tama ba din?
Correct.
Tama.
Oo, mga misconceptions, no, na hopefully ay mabigyang linaw natin tonight.
Oo, yun ang gusto ko nga man. Kaya buti you were available today and to talk about this today. And I think it will be very, very helpful for people who's going to be watching and then also learning about it rin. And maybe some people might have, parang questions inside them, whether if they want to come out and how they would come out or how they would identify themselves or how, all these things. And I think it's very relevant, especially parang may support system lang. Diba? I think naman gusto ko mangyari system rin. That they know people they can approach to, that they'll be safe, and dami ko na sinabi.
Tama naman mga sinabi mo.
Oo, pero tama ka, Gian and Dave. Kasi lalo na sa society natin ngayon, parang hindi pa tayo, I'm definitely mas nagiging open naman na tayo tungkol sa pag-uusap about SOGIE, about gender, and sexuality. Pero again, malayo pa yung lalakbayin natin towards gender equality. But at least we're doing this now, di ba? Unti-unti, step by step, pinag-uusapan natin. And doon naman nagsisimula yun yung pinag-uusapan natin siya.
Yun, conversation starter. Okay yan. Yan, sige. Pwede natin i-share ngayon what really is about SOGIE. Yan.
Yeah, pwede na tayo. I'm excited.
Sige,
pwede ba magtanong in between, Janlee? Kunyari may mga tanong kami, pwede kami magtanong. Raise your right hand lang.
Oo naman.
Kita naman sa video Raise your right hand.
Oo, nakatingin lang ako sa screen ko, so baka hindi ko makita pag nag-raise kayo ng hand. Pero,
sige.
Interrupt nyo lang ako.
Sige.
Sige, I'll flash the show para mas full screen. Ayan, full screen naman siya.
Yep, now full screen na siya.
Ayan, okay, sige. So, again, before we start, gusto natin very casual conversation siya kasi ayaw naman natin masyadong formal and intimidating kasi, di ba, kailangan yung mga ganitong bagay na pag-uusapan natin ng casual lang, di ba? So, if at any point meron kayong mga tanong, feel free to type in your questions or comments para mabasa natin at masagot natin para sa mga nanonood ngayong gabi. Okay, sige. So, we can start with our session. So, this is called a gender sensitivity session, or SOGIE 101. So, I'm sure one way or another, narinig niyo na yung term or yung acronym na SOGIE, pero maybe hindi nyo pa talaga alam kung tungkol saan siya. So, tonight, ayun yung pag-uusapan natin. Sana mas marami kayong matutunan tungkol dito. And of course, at the end of this session, sana maging mas sensitive tayo sa gender o sa SOGIE ng bawat isa. Okay, so before I start, as I mentioned, this material that I'm using actually is a property of Love Yourself. Love Yourself, Inc. is a nonprofit HIV and AIDS awareness, testing, prevention, and treatment organization that provides health and wellness services to key affected populations, such as males having sex with males and the LGBT community. So we're a community of volunteers, and we aim to reach out to others to propagate ideas, attitudes, and practices that encourage loving oneself, to dare to be oneself, to care for oneself, and to share oneself as a way of multiplying joy. So if you want to know more about Love Yourself, please visit www.loveyourself.ph. Okay, so what's in this session for you? So para sa ating mga audience tonight, syempre important for us to realize na mahalagang bahagi ng katauhan natin ang SOGIE. And it can determine and shape our needs and experiences. Also important to understand that every person has SOGIE. Hindi lamang po para sa members ng LGBT community ang SOGIE, kundi para sa lahat. Even those who are not LGBT. So we also aim to develop understanding on and sensitivity in dealing with members of the LGBTQIA+ community. Syempre, we are a marginalized sector, and being so, it's better to understand our experiences, where we are coming from, para mas maunawaan nyo kami at maging sensitive din tayong lahat sa pakikisama sa isa't isa. And help prevent bullying and discrimination through gender-sensitive communication, help educate other people about SOGIE. So I hope kung ano man yung matututunan nyo ngayong gabi, you will be able to also impart to others. So let's pay it forward para tuloy-tuloy yung usapan about SOGIE. Also to apply learnings to better relate with members of the community, both in the workplace, in the academe, at home, in public, anywhere you go. And of course, ang gusto naman talaga natin at the end of the day is to create a safe, inclusive, and caring environment. Diba? So, kailangan, kasi we thrive in diversity. Napakahalaga na we celebrate each other's differences. Pero, hindi enough lang na diverse tayo. Kasi kung diverse nga tayo pero hindi naman natin nirerespeto o tinatanggap yung isa't isa, doon nagkakaroon ng problema. So it's important to be caring, understanding, and inclusive.
Yes, tama yan.
Tama ba yun, Dave and Gian?
May mga nagko-comment. Support ito.
Mga supporters.
Ayan, thank you for watching and supporting. So pag may tanong po kayo or comments, type nyo lang po.
Yeah, ito rin, meron pa. Hi, Miss Janlee, sa shout-out lang.
Ayan, sorry po nabasa ngayon. Actually, sige, tignan ko rin sa phone.
Support sa ano ko, yan.
Si Nathan Cebrano.
Nathan Cebrano. Ay, isa si Nathan sa pinakamaganda kong kaibigan. So,
wow. Hi, Nathan.
Miss na kita at sana makita ko ulit yung mukha. Ayan. Okay, sige. So, simulan na natin. No? Perception mapping. So, simulan muna natin sa isang short activity lang.
Exciting.
Ano call perception mapping? Correct. So, exciting. Very simple siya, no? Pero, tama ka, Dave. Exciting and may marirealize tayo. Hopefully, at the end of it. Ayan. So, here's a table, actually. In the Filipino culture and language, ang pagkakaalam natin about SOGIE or about gender and sexuality, actually 4 na words lang yan. Nagkaroon pa nga ng movie si Vice Ganda. Girl, boy, bakla, tomboy. So, yun yung pagkakaalam natin about SOGIE. And wala namang mali doon dahil yun yung ating nakasanayan at yun yung kultura natin as Filipinos. So ngayon, let's try to understand more about our perception of gender as Filipinos. Sige, so kayo muna yung participants ko ngayon, Dave and Gian.
Sige.
Sige, so simulan natin kay Gian. Sige, so when you hear or encounter the word girl, can you give 2 words that you associate with girls? Kahit anong word pwedeng noun, adjective.
Pink.
Pink, ano pa?
Long hair.
Pink and long hair. So, yun for girl. Sige. For boy naman, ikaw, Dave, ano naman words na na-associate?
For boy, athletic.
Athletic and?
Short hair. Short hair. Wala maisip eh.
Sorry, athletic and?
Athletic and short hair.
Athletic and short hair. Okay, recap. So, sa girl, pink and long hair. Sa boy, athletic and short hair. Okay. Si Gian ulit. Kapag bakla or gay, ano naman ang 2 words na na-associate mo, Gian?
Effeminate.
Effeminate. Okay. And then, another word.
Lipstick? Hindi ko alam. Parang yan ang unang pumasok sa utak ko. Lipstick.
Lipstick. Okay, sige. So, effeminate and lipstick for bakla. And for tomboy or lesbian, Dave?
I guess boyish ang galaw or ang pananamit. Ayun. So, boyish na pananamit. Ano pa ba? Actually, wala akong maisip. Gian, help.
Walang boobs. Di ba lagi nagkakaroon pa yung dito nila? Pag ano?
Flat-chested.
Flat-chested.
Okay, sige. Sige, so recap natin. Ang girl, pink and short hair. Ang boy, athletic and short. Ang girl, pink and long-haired. Ang boy, athletic and short-haired. Ang bakla, effeminate and lipstick. Ang tomboy, flat-chested and boyish. Sige, dagdag pa tayo ng isa. Mas mas para din medyo mas positive naman. For each of the words, isang positive quality. So, kunyari, for girl, ikaw naman, Dave, for girl, can you give a positive trait or quality?
Girl, very, ano tawag dito? Ano ba yung clingy na sweet? Ganun. Very sweet. Ayun.
Okay, sige.
Ay, physical ba? Dapat ba physical? Sorry.
Pwedeng ugali. Oo.
Ayun. Very sweet. Tapos,
sige, okay na yun.
Gives value.
Sige. Okay, so, pwedeng sweet for girl, Gian for boy.
Boy would be breadwinner. Strong.
Breadwinner. Strong. Sige, strong. And then, sige, pwedeng breadwinner. Ganyan. Tapos for bakla, Dave.
Teka, isip pa ako. Teka, may distracted kasi ako. Gumagawa ako ng table para mas kita natin. Eto, Miss Janlee, pwede ka pala, pwede ka bumalik sa live stream. May kita. Pwede natin ilista na ngayon. Para mas kita natin. Ano uli yung mga simula?
Pink.
Yung girl, pink.
Pink.
Tsaka
long
hair. Sweet.
Okay.
Ayan.
Tapos ito, athletic.
Short
hair. Strong yung sa boy. Strong.
Okay, strong.
And
okay,
then,
sa bakla, or gay,
effeminate.
Ang tawag niya?
Effeminate. Lipstick.
Ano?
Effeminate.
Hindi ko alam spelling nun.
EF.
Naman. Hindi ko alam spelling. Kaya i-google ka na.
EFF.
Oo.
EFF.
Hindi I.
EI. Ayan. EI. Ano ba?
Matatinay po.
Loko ka, Dave.
Ayun, effeminate. Okay. Hindi ko marinig kasi yung word eh. Ito pala. Okay. Effeminate pala. Alam ko bago.
Kaya mo yan, Dave.
Sorry Hirap pag back-end eh. Ayan, effeminate.
Ayan, that was lipstick.
And then, tapos wala ka bang sinita?
It's a positive one, I would say, caring.
Saan dito?
Caring.
Then tomboy,
boyish.
Flat-chested.
Ako ba? Something positive.
Wala. Ano rin, parang strong rin.
Or at least different. Sige, yung strong pwede namang di ba breadwinner yung sabi mo kanina?
Breadwinner, oh.
Dun sa boy, yung breadwinner, tapos sa tomboy, yung strong. Para magkaiba.
Yep, okay. Pwede na yan.
Ayan. Sige. So ngayon, ayan. So to recap, you said ang girls loves pink or wears pink, has long hair, sweet. And then boys are athletic, have short hair, and usually breadwinners. Ang mga bakla naman, effeminate, lipstick, wears lipstick, and they are caring. And then ang mga tomboy, boyish, flat-chested, and strong. Sige. So ngayon, I'll ask you to choose one word from one column, ililipat nyo sa another column and vice versa. Nasa tingin nyo, nag-a-apply pa rin doon sa particular word na or column na yon.
Kailangan lahat?
So,
Kailangan
sige.
Lahat?
Sige, isa-isahin ko kayong tatawagin. Sige. So,
Sige.
start tayo sa iyo, Gian. So,
Okay.
from girl, lipat ka ng isang word from girl, ililipat mo sa column ng boy na you think nag-a-apply pa rin sa boy.
Long hair. Kasi mahaba hair ni Dave.
Okay.
Ayan. So, sige. Yeah, pwede mo ilipat, Dave, yung long hair under breadwinner. Ayan. Tapos, from boy naman, Gian ulit. From boy to girl naman, na pwede pa rin.
Breadwinner, obviously. Pwede.
Ayan. So, lipat natin yung breadwinner sa girl. Ayan. Tapos you can delete na Dave yung before. Ayan. Tapos ikaw naman, Dave, word na from bakla to the column ng tomboy na mag-a-apply pa rin.
Pwede yung caring. Pwede ko siya ilipat dito. Tapos,
And then,
boyish. Pwede rin dito. Ay. Ayan.
Ayan.
Okay.
Okay. So sabi natin, ang bakla, pwedeng boyish. Tama ba? Pwede ba?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Ang tomboy, pwedeng caring. Tama ba?
Mm-hmm.
Tama. Tama.
Ang girl, pwedeng mag winner. Tama?
Oh,
Yes.
Pwede.
Pwede.
Yes, pwede.
Ang boy, pwede bang magkaroon ng long hair?
Ayan, si Dave,
First.
example.
Okay. So, nag-work pa rin, di ba? Okay, next.
Yes, nag-work.
Balik tayo kay Gian. Gian, from girl, lipat mo sa bakla, tapos from bakla, lipat mo sa girl na mag-a-apply pa rin.
Sweet.
Okay, lipat ko si bakla.
And then,
And then,
lipstick.
And then,
Lipstick.
lipstick. Okay.
Ayan. So, ang girls ba pwedeng mag-wear ng lipstick?
Yes,
Pwede,
of
pwede.
course.
Ang bakla, pwede bang maging sweet?
Yes,
Yes.
pwede.
Okay. Sige. So, balik tayo kay Dave. From boy naman to tomboy and from tomboy to boy.
Okay. So, ang tomboy, pwede siya mag-short hair. Ayan, lipat natin yan. Tapos, ang boy, pwede rin siyang flat-chested.
Obviously, flat-chested din na lang.
Yung caring ba, nilipat na natin from this
nilipat natin.
Nalipat na natin yung caring.
Caring, nilipat mo na.
From boy ba siya? Hindi, no?
Pero huwag mo natin gamitin kasi parang
Ay, nalipat.
abuse.
I guess short hair, Matt. Boy na. Ay, wait. Short hair nilipat ko. Flat-chested. Nilipat ko na rin dito.
Ayan. So,
naman.
ang boy ba pwedeng flat-chested?
Yes.
Oo.
Yes. Ang tomboy pwede bang magkaroon ng short hair?
Yes.
Yes, pwede.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, sige. And then, last, Gian, from girl to tomboy and from tomboy to girl.
Pink. Tsaka strong.
And
Okay.
then, from boy to bakla and from bakla to boy.
Okay. So, pwede. Okay.
So, ang girl ba pwedeng maging strong?
Yes.
Yes, pwede.
Yes, pwede.
Okay, agree. Ang boy ba pwedeng maging effeminate?
Yes, pwede rin.
Pwede.
Yes. Ang bakla ba pwedeng maging sweet?
Pwede.
Yes, definitely. Pwede.
Sweet naman. Okay. And then, ang tomboy ba pwedeng magsuot ng pink?
Yes. Pwede.
Ayan. Sige, so i-recap natin ulit ha. So na-jumble na natin yung words from when we started. So ang girl now, sabi natin, girls can be strong, can wear lipstick, can be breadwinners. Ang boys can be flat-chested, can be effeminate, can have long hair. Ang mga bakla can be athletic, can be boyish, and can also be sweet. And ang mga tomboy can have short hair, can wear pink, and can be caring.
Yeah.
So, agree naman kayo or may violent reactions ba?
Agree ako.
Agree.
Wala no? Ayan. And sa mga audience natin, baka meron din kayong comments. Feel free to type your
comments. Mga nanonood, may comments kayo? May violent reactions ba dyan? Wala naman dyan.
Wala naman.
Ang galing pala, pwede mo pala i-interchange. Na hindi
yun ang point.
Meaning.
Correct. Yun ang point activity, di ba? No, and I'm pretty sure no matter how many times we interchange the words, most likely mag-agree pa rin tayo na ma-apply pa rin yung word na yun to another gender. Di ba? So, what we're trying to explain to people and what we're trying to make people understand is that oftentimes, nasi-stereotype natin ang isang particular na gender na ito lang siya. Diba? Na ikakahon nababox natin siya na ang girl, long hair lang. Ang girl, ang boy, short hair lang. Ang bakla, effeminate lang. Ang tomboy, strong lang. Pero hindi natin realize na those characteristics and qualities na ina-assign natin to a particular gender ay actually pwede ring apply sa ibang genders. Diba? And hindi natin hindi natin na-realize, diba? Tama. Tapos hindi natin na-realize na actually by doing that, we are actually stereotyping, and by stereotyping, na-discriminate na rin natin sila. So, and it's very common, not just for Filipinos, but everyone actually, na nakapag-discriminate tayo by stereotyping people based on their genders. When in fact, we are more than our gender. Diba? So marami tayong kayang gawin. At hindi tayo limited by our genders.
Galing. Madami na akong take away from here.
Dito pa lang. As in, pwede mo na ito gawing
activity
sa lahat. Pwede mo nang gawing activity ito para ma-bring yung point. Maganda siya.
Ganda na exercise na to. Parang ma-realize mo nga, pwede pala yun. Mali pala yung pagkaintindi ko. Like,
yun.
Parang,
Oo. So actually, very mind-opening siya. Imagine kung marami pa tayo. Minsan, nagawa ko to minsan in a group of 20, 40 people. Sobrang dami ng papers. Kasi syempre, before when we was doing this, sa face-to-face eh. So, kunyari, sa isang room, tapos may mga post-its, ganun talaga kaya masaya. I mean, masaya pa rin naman kayo. Pero, iba pa rin kasi, di ba, pag live face-to-face. Pero at least, nagagawa pa rin naman natin siya. So, yun yung lesson. So, it's a way of challenging the way we think when it comes to gender. Ayun.
Gets.
Sige, so ako na-try. Yan ang tinatawag na perception mapping. Pwede ka na bumalik sa PowerPoint mo. Naka-display na perception mapping.
So pag kayo gusto niyo rin i-check.
Madami pa lang kailangan i-correct sa perception natin with other people. I mean, na-realize ko lang ngayon na madali kang madala siguro dahil maybe sa environment mo na ito yung kinalakihan mo or ito yung sinabi sa'yo or yung mga napapanood mo na ito dapat siya.
How you were raised.
Para tayo na brainwash. Piling ko na brainwash tayo pag ganyan.
Brainwash. Sa films, sa cartoons, sa ano, diba?
Oo nga, no?
Pati yung color ng characters.
Parang very, very, parang na-open yung mind ko about it. Tuwa ako dito.
Yeah.
Na-realize ko, judgmental nga talaga akong tao.
Actually, lahat tayo judgmental, and kahit i-deny natin may pagka-judgmental tayo kasi nga tama kayo, na brainwash tayo, na shape tayo ng society to think a particular way about a particular gender.
Galing na tong exercise ito I love it. So love it. Super love
Gawin
it.
natin sa mga interns.
Super love it. Parang going sa
sa viewers din natin, di ba? Kung gusto nyo rin gawin yan with your friends, sa work nyo, sa school nyo, di ba? Para ma-challenge yung kanilang pag-iisip.
Totoo. Yeah. Sige,
and unfortunately, yun. So unfortunately, syempre, effects din yan ng patriarchy, di ba? Na merong certain qualities assigned to a particular gender. Kaya, ayun. Maganda siya to cross-check our way of thinking para to unlearn things na dapat i-unlearn and to learn new things.
Ganda nun.
Galing nga
To unlearn and to learn. Talagay ko yun.
Yeah. Marami pa tayong kailangang i-unlearn and i-learn. Yeah. Okay, sige. So, let's move on. So, ayan, before we move on to the actual discussion of SOGIE, important din, nadaanan muna natin yung kultura natin as Filipinos. And kung paano ba ang perception ng gender noon at ngayon, important to understand the history, diba? So, before, during pre-colonial era, bago dumating ang mga mananakop, actually, meron tayong pagkakapantay-pantay when it comes to gender. May gender equality ang mga komunidad natin noon. Ang mga barangay, di ba, pinamumunuan sila ng mga datu. And datus are males, commonly males. And actually, another set of leaders are called babaylans. I'm sure naalala nyo yan sa mga history lessons natin. Yung mga babaylans naman are females. And in fact, when it comes to stature in the community, in the barangays, they are equals. Ang datu, sila yung physical leaders, meaning sila yung tatanggol sa barangay, sila yung nagtataguyod sa barangay. Ang mga babaylans naman, they are the spiritual leaders. So, sila yung connection to the divinity sa mga divine beings na sinasamba ng mga ancestors natin noon. So, in fact, they are equals. But syempre, di ba, tinuro sa atin na dahil lalaki ang datu, mas mataas sila kaysa sa babaylan. Pero, they're actually equals. And there were, in fact, transgender women babaylans. And they were not just accepted, but they are respected as leaders of the barangays before. So what does this tell us? Diba? It tells us na bago dumating ang mga mananakop, ang mga colonizers, merong gender equality, meron tayong konsepto ng gender equality in our communities doon, ang sa Pilipinas. Unfortunately, pagdating ng colonial era, started by the Spaniards, dumating sila and they, nung sinakop nila tayo, they used religion as a tool to assimilate, diba? Diba? It's a way, they called it as a way for us to be saved, diba? Salvation. So, kung mapapansin natin, ang mga pinuno ng Kristyanismo at Katolisismo ay puro lalaki. Diba? Ang mga praile or mga Spanish friars, they're all males. And then, meron ngang nuns, pero hindi sila leaders eh. Ang nun, diba? Obvious naman na mas mataas yung tingin sa mga praile, sa mga pare.
Mhm.
So, inintroduce nila ang konsepto ng patriarchy. Okay, so hindi ko masyadong i-discuss ang religion dahil it's a totally different topic.
Yeah.
Pero di ba, even in Catholicism and Christianism, di ba, si God and Jesus Christ are the leaders and they are both males. Di ba? So, introduce talaga sa atin yung konsepto ng patriarchy, that males are higher, stronger, better than females.
Yeah.
At doon nasira yung pagkakaroon natin ng gender equality as a people before in pre-colonial times. So, unfortunately, introduce natin ang konsepto ng patriarchy at until now, it's very evident. Diba? And it's important to always remember where we came from, kung paano tayo nagsimula as a people. Dahil even if the Spaniards didn't arrive and colonize us, even if hindi dumating ang mga Amerikano na sumakop sa atin, we will continue to thrive as a community, as people. This is something that's not being discussed in schools. In fact, the way I remember it, and I'm sure a lot of you would agree, na parang utang na loob pa natin sa mga mananakop na na-discover nila tayo. Well, in fact, even without their discovery, patuloy naman tayong mabubuhay at patuloy naman tayong magpo-progress.
Yeah.
So it's not, well, this is something, again, it's just very important to realize na, yun nga, hindi natin yun utang na loob sa kanila. And actually, they did more harm than good. So, yun. And nagiging political. But anyway.
Okay lang yan. Okay lang.
Ayos lang yan.
So, but yun, important to realize that meron tayong concept ng gender equality at kailangan nating pahalagahan yun at balikan yun. Okay. So, having said that, syempre, mahalaga ding intindihin yung language natin as Filipinos. So, the word bakla and tomboy, they are actually umbrella terms. The word bakla, it encompasses both gay males and transgender females. And then the word tomboy encompasses both lesbian females and transgender males. Okay? So, important to understand kasi that SOGIE is a Western concept. It's a Western acronym. It's a Western concept. Wala tayong direct translation of SOGIE in the Philippines.
Okay.
So, we only have girl, boy, bakla, tomboy as we discussed earlier. So, kaya doon nagkakaroon ng confusion dito sa Pilipinas, di ba? Hindi natin ma-distinguish masyado kung ano ba ang gay male, ano ba ang trans female. Kasi nga, pareho in our vernacular, sa lokal na mga pananalita natin, pareho silang bakla. Ayun. If there is a Filipino term for trans women or trans men, actually the Society of Transsexual Women of the Philippines, or STRAP, coined a term called trans Pinay. So trans women are called trans Pinay, and trans males are called trans Pinoy. So that's the closest terms that we have. Pero again, it's still not a direct translation kasi the word is still English eh. So yun, it's important to realize na doon nagaling yung confusion kasi nga umbrella terms ang bakla at tomboy. They both refer to sexual orientation and gender identity.
Gets.
Important also to understand that ano ba yung perception natin of the words bakla and tomboy. So, whenever someone calls a gay person bakla, sa tingin nyo, ano yung nararamdaman ng isang baklang tao pag tinatawag siyang bakla?
Na-insulto.
In some
insulto.
way, offended.
Offended.
In some way offended. Sige, I can speak for myself. As a trans woman, kapag tinatawag akong bakla, especially noon, before I learned about SOGIE, my common reaction would be to be offended, to be insulted. And ganun din naman sa mga tomboy. Kapag tinatawag silang tomboy, usually na-offend or na may insulto sila. Pero we have to understand, bakit ba tayo na-insulto? So, kunyari, ikaw, Dave, ay tawagin kitang lalaki. Or kunyari, naglalakad ka sa kalye. Tapos,
ako
tawagin kang lalaki. Ano mag-feel mo?
Wala. Kasi parang it was, hindi ako, in my growth, no, it was never used as a way na offensive siya. Or parang hindi siya ginamit pang insulto ever. No? Unlike sa bakla. Parang may mga kabataan ngayon, no, parang ginagamit siya pang offend talaga sa mga kaklase nila, ganun. I think yun yung difference. No? Tama ba?
Tama, may point ka. Kasi nga, as you were growing up, wala namang negative connotation ang word na lalaki or boy sa'yo. So, kapag tinawag kang boy or lalaki, walang effect. Kasi yun ka. And wala kang perception na may mali doon sa pagiging boy. So, unfortunately, society has given so much negative connotation to the words bakla and tomboy. Diba? Na ginagamit siyang insulto, 'di ba? So, kaya yung automatic reaction naming mga trans women, mga bakla, mga tomboy, na kapag tinatawag kaming bakla o tomboy, na-offend kami kaagad. So,
pero dapat hindi ba ngayon? Pero dapat hindi siya dapat?
Ayan. So, good question, Ian, no? That's what we're trying to teach people, actually, that we should as members of the LGBT community, kapag tinawag tayong bakla o tomboy, wag dapat tayong mapikon, wag dapat tayong maasar. Kasi nga, walang mali dapat sa pagiging bakla o tomboy. It's simply our identity, and no matter how people demonize or give negative connotation to these words, dapat huwag tayong pumayag. Instead of being offended, diba? Let's reclaim Let's reclaim these words as our own, as our identity, because there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being bakla. So that's the movement that we are doing now, na walang mali sa pagiging bakla at tomboy. Pag tinawag kang bakla at tomboy, huwag kang mapikon at sa halip ay maging proud ka, diba? So, but again, it's easier said than done, ha? Siyempre,
it's a long process.
Medyo challenging
long process. Pero I think konti-konti, like especially if yung younger generations, like yung mga bata-bata pa, yung mga elementary, if they see na people like, people who are part of the movement, hindi na sila na-offend dun sa, pagtawag sa kanila, bakla or tomboy. They'll learn parang slowly magiging norm na hindi ka na dapat ma-offend.
Correct, because again, there's nothing wrong with being bakla or tomboy. So, we nakakalimutan natin kasi minsan that words are actually just words until we put meaning and value to them. So, if we put positive value and meaning to the words bakla and tomboy, then they should not be insulting and offensive. Yun. So, sabi nga ng UP Babaylan, the bakla is good, diba? Let the bakla prevail. So yun ang lesson natin. Also, before I forget pala, another important lesson in language na hindi natin masyadong nadi-discuss, but important also as proof na mayroong gender equality in pre-colonial times. The Filipino language itself is ungendered. Meaning, proof nito yung mga pronouns natin. Ang pronouns natin in the Filipino language, siya. Wala. And siya is not referring to a specific gender. While in the English language, laging he or him. He or him always refers to males. She or her always refers to females. But in the Filipino language, it's siya, diba? And siya is gender neutral. So, ayun.
Yeah.
So, important to understand these things na, ayun nga, ipagkakapantay-pantay tayo sa gender noon. And kailangan natin ibalik. Okay. Sige. Yeah. Again, if you have comments and questions, please type them down. Okay, so now let's go to the main event. So, SOGIE. So, ano bang SOGIE? Before we go to that, let's understand muna what gender is. Of course, gender is the concept of maleness and masculinity, or femaleness and femininity, based on the side features and role attributes that society assigns to the biological sexes. So, important dito yung last part ng statement, society assigns to the biological sexes. Meaning, magkaiba ang gender at sex. Okay? So, ang gender is a concept of masculinity or femininity based on the attributes assigned to sexes. So, SOGIE stands for sexual orientation, for SO, gender identity, for GI, and expression, for E. So, in short, SOGIE. So, to make it even simpler, sexual orientation talks about our attraction towards other people. Gender identity is simply our identity, our internal identity. And expression is how we express ourselves on the outside. Ayan. So, i-describe natin siya using this cute figure.
Unicorn.
Unicorn. So, isa siyang chubby unicorn that represents SOGIE. So, sexual orientation or attraction, yun yung heart. Kasi syempre, it talks about who we're attracted to, kung sino ang napupusuan natin. And then, identity is what's in our minds because we know our gender identity. Only the person can say what his or her gender identity is based on what he or she knows. And then expression is just basically how we express ourselves on the outside. And then again, as you can see here, merong sex, referring to the chromosomes or the genitals. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, magkaiba po ang sex at gender. So ang sex or assigned sex at birth, ito yung ina-assign sa atin ng doctors natin nung pinanganak tayo. So this is something we have no control over. It's simply assigned by the doctor based on our chromosomes, genitals, and hormones. Diba? And important din naman ito, syempre, to classify us when we were born. Diba? Ito yung nasa birth certificate.
Yeah.
So, it's in different types of sexes. As you know, ang female, XX chromosomes with female reproductive organs. Ang males naman, XY chromosomes with male reproductive organs. And meron tayong mga kapatid na intersex. Sila naman yung pinanganak na may combination ng male and female sex characteristics. Na may combination of XX and XY chromosomes, may combination of both genitals, kaya sila tinawag na intersex.
Okay.
So, intersex people are also members of the LGBTQIA+ community. So, yung I sila yun, intersex.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so again, sex is simply assigned at birth. You can be female, you can be male, or you can be intersex. Next, we go to sexual orientation. So again, may questions pa kayo, Gian and Dave?
Wala naman. So itong sexual orientation, who you're attracted to, tama?
Yes. So we move on. To our audience, pag may tanong po kayo, please feel free to type and we'll answer your questions. Okay. So we move on to SO or sexual orientation. If we want to use a term, ito lagi ko itong tinuturo kasi it's easy for me to remember. And I hope makatulong din ito sa inyo. Who I want to sleep with. Emphasis on with. Meaning, at the end of the day, kung sino yung gusto kong makasama, kung sino yung gusto kong makasiping, at mahalin So yun ang sexual orientation, who I'm attracted to. So I can be attracted to women, to men, to both, to others, to none. Okay. So it refers again to our capacity for emotional, affectional, sexual attraction towards other sexes or genders. Okay. So ito yung different types of sexual orientations. So let's start with heterosexual. So heterosexual is a person only attracted to members of the opposite sex or or gender.
Yep.
Okay.
Clear. And then in layman's terms, straight, diba?
Oo nga, no? Layman's terms, straight. Tama.
Yes. And then opposite ng heterosexual ay homosexual. So ang homosexual naman attracted to only to members of the same sex / gender. Okay. So again, same sex / gender. So in layman's term, a man or lesbian woman.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, meron din tayong mga kapatid na bisexual. Actually, luma na yung definition ng bisexual na attracted to both males and females. The updated definition is that bisexual people are those attracted to more than one gender.
Okay. So,
more than one sex / gender. So, being attracted siya sa 3 genders or 4 genders, yun. Bisexual pa rin.
okay.
Okay. And then, pansexual naman are those people capable of being attracted to a person regardless of that person's gender identity or sex. Okay? So, hindi po sila nagkakagusto sa mga pan, sa mga tawag
mga loko-loko.
Pero attracted sila to anyone regardless of sex or gender. So for them, hindi kaso yun kung ano yung sex or gender ng tao. Yun. And then asexual naman are those people who are not attracted to anyone. Walang sexual or emotional attraction towards anyone. Yun. So, again, hindi siya choice ha. Hindi choice ang sexual orientation. So, hindi common misconception, iniisip ng mga tao, ang mga asexual people, pareho lang sa mga taong celibate. Hindi po. Kasi ang celibacy, it's a choice. But being asexual is not a choice. Hindi lang talaga sila na-attract to anyone.
Okay.
Yeah, so doon may difference. Okay. So as you can see, merong iba't ibang flags, 'di ba? So marami tayong LGBTQIA+ flags. So for me very interesting din 'yan kasi very colorful ang ating community. Okay. So do you have any questions?
Ngayon wala pa.
Yeah. So these are the different types of sexual orientation. And then we move on to, so recap lang ulit. As you may have noticed, I always say sex / gender. Kasi nga, why do you think that's the case? Biglang naging test eh.
Wala, grabe.
Ano pa? Kinabahan na ako. Hindi ko na alam.
Kinabahan din ako.
Nabanggit kanina na magkaiba sila eh. Nabanggit kanina na different sila.
Pero
I guess
sex kasi yung choice. Tama ba? Yung or tapos yung gender, what you're born with. Tama ba ako? Parang yun ang...
Yung sex kasi and gender are two different things. Sex is assigned at birth and gender is how we identify, currently identify.
Okay.
So, that's why we always use sex / gender kasi nga, pwedeng magkaiba ang sex at gender, pwede rin pareho. Okay, clear. And then, after sexual orientation, we move on to GI or gender identity. Diba yung sexual orientation kanina is who I want to sleep with.
Yeah.
Gender identity naman is who I want to sleep as.
Okay.
So, emphasis on as. Meaning, at the end of the day, sino ba ako, diba? Ano ako? So, how do I see myself? Yun. So, I can see myself as a female, a male, or others. So again, just to define it more clearly, gender identity is our deeply felt internal experience of gender. So emphasis on internal, dahil tayo lang ang nakakaranas niyan. So there is no way of finding out about a person's gender identity than asking the person. We can never assume kung ano ang gender identity ng isang tao. Kailangan nating kailangan yung taong yun lang mismo yung nakakaalam. So, again, as I mentioned, ang gender identity may or may not correspond with the sex assigned at birth.
Yes.
Including personal sense of body and other expressions of gender. Okay. So, these are the different gender identities. So, merong...
Pwede magtanong? Okay lang ba tanongin mo sa kanya?
Yes. So, actually, pupunta tayo dyan. Pero good question yan.
Okay.
It's always better to ask than assume. Kasi nga, ang gender identity ay internal and we have no way of finding out unless we ask. Mahalagang tandaan is that we ask properly.
Okay.
Diba?
Sige, mamaya pala ba sabihin nyo ba?
Oo, okay lang yan. No problem. Okay lang yan. So, pero to answer your question, okay lang magtanong. Basta maayos yung pagtanong.
Pagtanong, okay.
Okay. Sige. So, different type of gender identities. Number one, cisgender or gender binary. People who conform exclusively to feminine or masculine identities exclusively. Okay? Also, ang cisgender, meaning from the prefix cis or CIS, in chemistry kasi, cis is a prefix that means to remain the same. Okay? So, meaning, ang mga cisgender people, yung kanilang sex assigned at birth is the same as their current gender identity. Okay? So, walang pinagkaiba. So, kunyari, ikaw, Ian, what's your sex assigned at birth?
Male.
And what's your current gender identity? How do you see yourself?
Gay.
Sige. Ang gay kasi is a sexual orientation. Pero when you look at yourself, when you see yourself, when you identify yourself, do you identify as a guy or a girl?
Guy.
So here. So your sex assigned at birth is male and your current gender identity, you identify as male also, correct?
So cisgender, yeah.
Cisgender.
Okay.
Yun. Kasi walang change. So to remain the same, so you're a cisgender male.
Okay.
Yun.
Okay.
Ikaw
ngayon ko na naintindihan yung word na yun. Kala ko, sabi ko, ano ba yung sabihin ng cisgender? Kala ko ano siya para...
So, talagang yung sex assigned at birth tsaka yung identity mo. So, since ako, I'm male din at birth, cisgender din ako kasi I identify as a male rin.
Oh.
Yes. So, pareho kayo ni Gian, pareho kayo Gian and Dave, pareho kayong cisgender male.
Cisgender.
Ang pinagkaiba nyo, sabi nga ni Gian kanina,
gender,
if I'm gonna ask...
Orientation.
Gender orientation.
Yeah.
Sexual orientation. Gets.
So, if I ask you, Gian, who are you attracted to?
Yun. So, who I want to sleep with.
Yes. So, kanino ka attracted?
Men.
So, you're a man attracted to men. So, ang sexual orientation mo ay?
Okay?
Homo
Homo,
or gay.
no.
Homosexual.
Yes.
May
Kasi nga,
question pala tayo. May mga nagtatanong lang kung gusto nyo ano.
Ayun, may nagtatanong.
So ito, si Miguel, he asks, if gender refers to the biological aspect of the person, how does a person become gender fluid or not have a fixed gender?
Lalim ng tanong
Grabe. Alright.
actually, sorry, can you repeat pala, Dave?
If gender refers to the biological aspect of a person, how does a person become gender fluid or not having a fixed gender?
Okay. So number one, gender is not biological.
Di ka naikinig, Miguel. Ikaw talaga. Di na.
Hindi. Huwag nating awayin si Miguel.
Okay lang yan. Okay lang yan.
Thank you for asking.
Intern ng XVH yan. Intern.
Wag mo ilaglag. So yun yung difference kasi ng sex and gender, right? Yun.
Correct. Gender is not biological because again, it's the concept. Gender is our concept of maleness or femaleness. So, paano na-identify ng person kung fluid siya or non-binary? It's really a process. We have no way of finding out na pare-pare. Walang similar experiences of gender. Even kunyari, ako as a trans woman and I know another trans woman, our experiences of gender are different from one another.
Oh.
So it's not important anymore kung paano nalalaman ng tao yung identification niya. Because what's important is that we know and we respect the gender identity. So if a person tells you na I'm gender fluid, I'm gender non-binary, then we just have to accept that because it won't harm us naman if we accept that the person is gender fluid. So it's a process of really realizing for some people it takes quite a while for them to understand and accept that they are LGBT. For others, it's super easy and super quick. So nagkakaiba talaga siya from person to person. So ang mahalaga is yun nga, when they tell you that and when they trust you enough and tell you that they are gender fluid, then you embrace them, you accept them and understand them.
Yeah.
Yon. Okay. Sige. So again, kayong dalawa, Gian and David, you're both cisgender males. Okay. So punta naman tayo sa opposite ng cisgender males. Cisgender. Ang transgender naman. So again, with the prefix trans, in chemistry, trans means to change. Diba? Ang dami nating words na nagsisimula sa trans. Transform, transport, transfer, and the same goes for transgender kasi yung aming sex assigned at birth is different, nag-iba from our current gender identity. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
So for myself, for example, I was born male, so my sex assigned at birth is male, and my current gender identity is female. I identify as female. So that makes me a transgender female.
Transgender female. All right.
And then, ang mga transgender males naman, their assigned sex at birth is female. Currently, they identify as male, so they are transgender males. Yun.
Yeah. Makes sense naman.
Clear? Okay, sige. Glad it makes sense. Tapos, in understanding SOGIE and the LGBTQIA+ community, the prefixes are actually very important. So, cis, trans, hetero, homo, bi, pan. So, all these prefixes have meanings. So, kung medyo nalilito na kayo, you can always go back to the prefix para mas maintindihan.
Yeah.
Okay. And apart from cisgender people and transgender people, meron din tayong gender identities na gender queer or gender fluid or gender non-binary. So umbrella term ito for individuals who denote themselves as not having a fixed gender. So they can be gender fluid, they can be bi-gendered, meaning they both identify as male and female.
Male and
They can
female.
be, ang dami, as in marami, it's really a spectrum in itself, itong mga gender queers. Meron ding agender, meaning they don't identify to any gender. Yun. So yun ang mga gender queer. Okay, clear?
Yeah.
Okay, sige. If you don't have questions, let's move on. Yan, recap lang to. And lastly, of course, is gender expression. So, I'm very easy. For me, among the three, ito yung easiest. Kasi it's just basically what we see on the outside. Who I am on the outside, how I express myself on the outside. Kasi if you would notice, sexual orientation and gender identity, they are both internal.
Yeah.
Hindi naman natin malalaman ang sexual orientation at gender identity ng isang tao just by looking at that person. The only way to find out is, again, by asking. Pero ang gender expression, ito nakita natin with our eyes. Pero again, expression is...
Ito yung nadja-judge, no? Janlee.
Yeah.
Nadja-judge.
Ito yung nakita ng tao, so ito yung nadja-judge ko ano yung gender identity mo.
Hindi yung pwede gawing basis for the gender identity.
Correct. Unfortunately, ito yung nagagamit nga na basis for someone's gender identity or sexual orientation, which is actually wrong. Kasi nga, iba ang expression sa gender identity. So, and also important to understand na yung SOGIE, yung three aspects or components of SOGIE, sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, they are independent from one another.
Okay.
Kahit na-related sila, hindi naman sila dependent sa isa't isa. Kunyari, ang isang cisgender female, hindi naman dahil cisgender female siya, kailangan ang expression niya ay feminine. Merong mga cisgender female na nag-express ng androgynous
masculine,
masculine. And that's okay, diba? So yun yung kailangan nating intindihan when it comes to expression. Expression is just simply how I want to wear my clothes. And
yung
it doesn't
comfortable ka.
Correct. And it doesn't define who you are. It doesn't define your gender identity or sexual orientation. Ayan. Okay. So I can present myself as feminine, masculine, or others. So again, gender expression is external manifestations of gender expressed through, actually from pronouns pa lang, clothing, haircut, behavior, voice, body characteristics. So these are the different types of gender expressions. As I mentioned, at ito yung, syempre yung most commonly known are feminine and masculine. So feminine, people who have qualities or appearance traditionally associated with women. The key word here is traditionally. So unfortunately, as much as I hate conventions, I hate conventional way of thinking, pero yun nga, traditional traits of women, like what you mentioned earlier, long hair, pink, yun. Yun yung feminine. Ang masculine naman, traditionally associated with men. Yun nga, sabi nyo kanina, short hair, athletic, muscular. And then, meron ding androgynous. People who express themselves with a combination of masculine and feminine expression.
Pero these are parang iba-iba per day. Parang pwede kang masculine this day, tas next day feminine. Or is it like a combo?
It really depends on the person. It really good question actually, but it really depends on the person eh. Kunyari trip ko today, very feminine yung outfit ko. At least sige mag-dress ko. Then trip ko tomorrow, medyo masculine. Sige mag-jeans ako tsaka shirt. Then trip ko the next day androgynous. It really depends. Kasi nga, ang expression is almost the same as your style, di ba? Style of So it can vary talaga. But similar to style, meron naman tayong usual style na gusto natin whenever we dress ourselves. Yeah. So androgynous, and then meron ding gender neutral. Unconventional naman to. As you know, I'm sure meron kayong mga kilalang tao na sobrang unique when they express themselves, na hindi masculine, hindi rin feminine. Okay, so again, gender expression is on the outside and it doesn't define a person's gender identity or sexual orientation. Okay. Any questions so far?
Ito yung pinakamadali out of all.
Oo.
Alright, sige.
So, yun. So, question ko din, when, the reason also why I said na independent ang sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression is independent but related to one another. Kasi, may relationship ang gender identity, sexual orientation, and expression. So I'll use my personal experience of gender as an example. So kunyari, before, when I was in high school, syempre wala naman akong kaalam-alam about what being transgender is. Wala akong konsepto noon. So I identified in high school as a male, as a boy. So akala ko I was a boy attracted to other boys. That's why ang identification ko sa sarili ko is a gay boy. Yun. But then, nag-iba siya when I learned about what being transgender is when I was in college. So I realized na hindi pala ako, all this time, kaya parang hindi ako masyadong nakaka-relate sa mga gay men is because I actually am not a man, but a woman. So I am a woman I'm a woman that was assigned male at birth. So that makes me a transgender woman. So naiba yung gender identity ko. From male, naging transgender female ako. And dahil doon, naiba din yung sexual orientation ko. Kasi I'm now a woman attracted to men. So from being a gay man, naging straight woman ako. Or naging heterosexual trans woman.
Okay.
Oh, gets.
Okay. Heterosexual trans woman. Alright.
Oo. Kasi before, I identified as a cisgender boy or a cisgender male attracted to other males. So, cisgender homosexual male ako when I was in high school. But then it changed when I realized I'm a woman, I'm a transgender woman attracted to men. So, naging heterosexual yung sexual orientation. So, from being a homosexual cisgender male, naging heterosexual transgender woman or female. So, yun yung sinasabi ko na kahit independent sila, they are related to one another. Yun.
Okay. Naka-nosebleed pala siya, pag inisip mo matagal. Parang,
well, yung transition.
Ang dami ko dinaanan na process na, 3.
Bago pa lang kasi sa atin. Pero parang, if you think about it, medyo simple lang, in a way. Tingnan natin. So, may test yan, di ba?
May test ka. Hindi may exam ko eh.
Kinakabahan.
So, yan. So, balikan natin yung ating unicorn. So again, identity is what's in your mind, orientation is what's in your heart, expression is what's on the outside, and sex is simply
what you were born with.
What you were born with, assigned at birth, based on your genitals and chromosomes. Okay, so the SOGIE spectrum is this. So sex assigned at birth, you can be female, male, or intersex. Sexual orientation, you can be homosexual, heterosexual, or bisexual, pansexual, asexual. And then gender identity, you can be cisgender, transgender, or genderqueer. And gender expression, you can be feminine, masculine, androgynous, or gender neutral. So again, it's a spectrum. So in this representation, in this diagram, why do you think horizontal yung arrows? Bakit siya?
Equal.
Naunahan ako.
Equal kasi.
Sige, bakit?
Yan.
Bakit?
Ikaw yung sumagot doon. Pass ako.
Equal nga. Kasi, it doesn't matter kung alin ka dyan. You're all in the same level. Tama ba? Parang walang hierarchy. Hindi mas nakataas ang pagiging lalaki, ang pagiging bi, ang pagiging homosexual or heterosexual. They're all equal. Diba? Ayan.
Very good.
Nakinig.
So, tama kayo pareho dahil pantay-pantay tayo regardless of our SOGIE. So, walang mas nakakaangat or nakakababa kahit ano man yung SOGIE natin. Kaya siya horizontal.
Yeah.
Yun.
Okay. Makes sense.
Sige, so mag-quiz na tayo.
Yan na nga ba sinasabi ko.
Diba like, for ourselves ba? Yung ba to?
Oo naman. Sige, since kayong dalawa naman yung nakakausap ko, ayan, kayo muna i-quiz ko. Pero yung audience natin, syempre, pwede rin silang sumagot.
Miguel.
Type lang kayo.
Miguel.
Hinayate ko dito si Miguel. Miguel, kung nandito ka pa mag-chat ka, alright, mauna kami para hindi ka kabahan.
Mag-type ka rin, Miguel. Ayan, sige. So, let's start. Ayan, dun tayo sa nasa left side. So, if you're male, if your assigned sex at birth is male, and your current gender identity is male, ano ang iyong gender identity?
Cisgender.
Cisgender what?
Men.
Cisgender male.
Male or man?
Male. Pareho lang. Cisgender male, cisgender man. Tama. Kasi nga, same lang, di ba? Male, assigned at birth, and then currently identifies as male. So, cisgender male. Tama. And then, expression is masculine. So, with masculine expression.
Orientation.
Then, orientation is toward female. So, ano ang orientation niya? Anong tawag?
Ito na yung hetero.
Yes.
Hetero. Galing.
Very good.
Very good.
Plus point.
50 points. 50 points.
So, cisgender male with masculine expression and heterosexual cisgender male with masculine expression. Yun. So, dapat yung ilalagay nyo sa mga CV nyo.
Yun yung
buong
SOGIE. Yan yung SOGIE.
Yun na yung SOGIE.
One line lang naman. One line lang. One sentence.
Pwede, kung gusto nyo paiklian, hetero cis male with masculine expression. Yan. Ayan. Sige, punta naman tayo sa right side. So, born female, currently identifies as female. So, ano ang gender identity?
Cis woman
Or cis female. And then with feminine expression and attracted to males. So, ano yung tawag sa sexual orientation niya?
Hetero cis female na siya.
Hetero cis female.
Yes. Hetero cis female.
Galing natin Good job.
And then,
now it gets complicated.
And as I mentioned, expression naman can vary. So, again, in this case, hetero cis female with feminine expression. But again, pwede siyang pwedeng maging masculine, pwedeng maging androgynous, diba?
Totoo.
Next, ayan. May konting na bago. So, assigned male, identifies as male, so cis male with masculine expression, attracted to males. So, ano yung sexual orientation niya?
Cis male homosexual?
Yes.
Tapos, expression niya masculine.
Masculine.
Correct. So, homo cis male. In layman's term, gay cis male.
Gay cis.
Alright.
Oo. So, bakit important yung pagsabi ng cis male? Kasi meron din tayong mga kapatid na gay trans males.
Gay trans male.
Sige, nag-aanda na para sa susunod.
Tinitigan ko kung paano siya i-ano.
Okay, sige. So, punta tayo sa right side. Born female, currently identifies as female. So, cis female with feminine expression, attracted to female.
So, homo cis female.
Homo cis female.
Feminine expression.
Yeah. So, homo cis female, or in layman's term, lesbian cis female with feminine expression. Okay. Next round. So, sa right side, cis male with masculine expression, attracted to both or more than one gender.
So, orientation niya is bisexual.
Bisexual, oh.
Expression is masculine expression. Wow!
Cis
din siya.
Cis male. Ay, cis male.
Cis male.
Correct.
Galing natin
masculine expression. Tapos yung nasa right, cis female. Feminine expression.
Yes, very good.
Perfect pa na yung quiz bukas. Okay. Yung ibang orientation varies. They can be attached to males, females.
I think pan, di ba? I think pan.
Ito, sige.
So, yeah.
Kapag attracted to anyone regardless of gender or sex, ano yung tawag doon?
Pansexual. Pansexual.
Cis male.
Yeah, cis male with feminine expression.
Correct. So, anong tawag dito? Kasi napansin nyo, cis male siya, pero yung expression, and then yung expression niya ay feminine.
Ala.
Anong tawag?
Yun. What we're trying to say here is, meron, again, expression is just what's on the outside.
Yeah.
Even if you're cis male, you can express yourself in a feminine way.
Yeah.
Diba,
Cis male ka pa rin. Yeah.
Cis male ka pa rin. Kunyari, di ba si Will Smith? Si Jaden Smith,
yeah,
di ba?
Anak
niya. Skirt, di ba? Pero, di naman ibig sabihin, ano siya, di man transgender siya or bakla siya, di ba?
Cis male pa rin yung identity niya, right? Tama ba?
Yeah, correct.
Cis male pa rin with feminine expression. Yeah.
Correct.
Oo,
so again,
cis male siya, pero expression lang niya, he just likes to dress up as a in skirts. So, feminine.
Yes. Correct. Parang yung mga Scottish, di ba mga Scottish males, meron sila.
Sila, oh. Or yung mga di ba sa tawag doon sa mga Korean novela or Korean culture, yung mga outfit nila, pati yung mga kings and queens, di ba lahat sila parang gown, parang nakadamit sila.
Yeah, true. And even, di ba mga Korean men, nagme-makeup nga sila, pero hindi naman ibig sabihin na they are gay or hindi ibig sabihin they are trans, di ba?
Ay, dito rin sa Philippines, sa Mindanao, alam ko lahat, pati yung mga guys, hindi naman naka-pants eh. Naka-ano rin sila, naka-skirt.
Di ba nakabahag? Mga bahag.
Oo. Hindi, may bahag pero naka-skirt.
May skirt din. So yun lang, what we're trying to say is, again, our expression doesn't define our gender identity or sexual orientation.
Correct.
Another example within the LGBT community, mga drag queens.
Tama.
So, ang drag queens, di ba, they express themselves in a feminine manner, but it doesn't mean that they are transgender. Again, it depends din. May mga transgender women din naman na drag queens. So, what we're trying to say is, drag is something that you do. It's not who you are.
Yeah.
So again,
expression lang, di ba? Janlee, para siyang art when you drag, art
form. Yeah, so drag is an art form. It doesn't define your identity.
O nga, ang gagaling nga kasi, di ba? Ang gagaling ng mga, nakatawa yung Dave sa mga TikTok, yung mga drag queen transformation, mga Parang gwapo nila ng mga guys. Tapos
Nagsisend ka ata sa akin eh. Oh. Nag-send ka sa akin before, I think.
Grabe.
Oo. Sobrang hot nila, diba?
Oo.
Ayan. Sige. So, sa other side naman, sa right side, so, cisgender female with masculine expression.
Yeah, bisexual. Pansexual. Wait lang. Paano ma-differentiate na ang bisexual and pan? Knowing na bisexual, parang it's a whole spectrum, di ba? And then pansexual, it doesn't matter yung ano. Ano yun? So, for example, paano mo ma-identify if you're bisexual or pansexual?
Good question. So,
hindi. Pag ikaw, halimbawa ikaw
para sa sarili mo.
Actually, good question yan. It's actually, there's may debate kasi ongoing debate about it. Some people kasi use the terms bisexual and pansexual interchangeably. So they don't mind they're called bisexual or pansexual. For some naman, they are particular about the label that they want to be referred as. So, for some kasi, when you say, as I mentioned, ang bisexual kasi when you're attracted to more than one sex / gender. Pero hindi, we can treat it as yung bisexual, it's a subset of pansexuality. Kasi yung pansexuals kasi attracted to anyone regardless of sex or gender. So they don't really care kung ano yung gender or sex ng tao. Ang bisexuality naman, hindi ibig sabihin attracted sila to anyone regardless of sex or gender, but they are attracted to more than one.
More than one. Okay.
So, kunyari, may specific lang na genders na na-attract sila. Pero more than one.
Oh,
yun.
Okay.
So, yun yung difference. Pero for some people then, they don't mind kung ano man, kung tawagin man silang bisexual or pansexual. So, ang lesson here is, we ask, tama naman si Gian, if we ask the person kung ano yung mas preferred,
May tanong ako, is there a proper way of asking a question? Like, how do you phrase the question?
It's a good question.
O parang you will not be rude naman, or you won't be parang judgmental.
I guess best time, best approach.
Oo, yung mga ganun.
Sige, discuss natin yan in a bit. Puntahan natin. Pero you're right. Merong proper way of asking questions. So, mamaya, we'll go there in a bit.
Sige.
Okay. And then what if the person is not attracted to anyone? Anong tawag sa kanyang sexual
asexual.
Orientation? Asexual or asexual?
Asexual.
Okay, nagbago na. So, born male currently identifies as female. So, ano yung gender identity?
So, yan. Trans female. Trans female with gender expression. Feminine expression.
Correct.
Tapos, varies din.
Sige. Ako yung maglalagay. So, trans female with feminine expression attracted to males.
Attracted to males.
Hetero.
Trans female.
Yes. Correct. What if trans female with feminine expression attracted to females only?
So, homosexual. Nagunahan tayo, no? Homo trans female with feminine expression.
Correct. Or lesbian trans female.
Lesbian trans female.
Example yan si Caitlyn Jenner, diba? Si Caitlyn Jenner, si Angie Meeting. Yan. So, they are trans female and they are exclusively attracted to other females. So, they are lesbian or homo trans females. Okay. And then what if trans female attracted to both male and female?
Bisexual
Okay.
trans female. Okay. Bisexual trans female.
Yun. So yun, pwede rin yun. So that's why it's important to understand na magkaiba ang sexual orientation sa gender identity.
May
Yun.
point
Okay,
system talaga, paunahan tayo, Dave. Sino mananalo sa ating dalawa?
Sa interns natin. Wala eh. Gawin namin sa interns. Sa mga interns, gawin namin.
Okay. Punta tayo sa right side. So, born female currently identifies as male.
Born female, currently identifies as
Born female. Oh, edi trans male. No? Trans male.
Trans male, correct. With masculine expression. So, trans male attracted to females.
Hetero trans male.
Hetero trans male or straight trans male.
Straight trans male.
Trans male attracted to other males.
Homosexual trans male.
Ayun. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Meron ding mga homo or gay trans males. Yeah. And then, what if trans male attracted to no one?
Asexual
trans male.
Asexual trans male.
Asexual trans male. Or what if trans male attracted to anyone regardless of gender?
Pan trans male.
Yan. Ayan.
Madami ang points, Dave.
Galing na ni Gian. Okay.
May map na ako sa utak ko eh.
Okay.
Nagka-map na ako sa utak.
Ito, pampagulo lalo. Sige. What if cisgender male cisgender male attracted to a trans female?
Hetero pa rin.
Hetero, yeah.
Hetero cis male.
Hetero cis male. Kasi
galing natin.
Kasi identifies as a female ang trans.
Female kasi, oo.
Correct. Kasi male siya. Ang cis male ay male na na-attract sa female. So, hetero or straight. Yun. So, kasi for others, kasi nalilito sila dyan na parang kapag ang lalaki daw na-attract sa trans female ay ibig sabihin gay male. But then, ang mga females naman, hindi naman na-attract sa babae. Kunyari, ikaw, Gia, na-attract ka ba sa babae?
Minsan.
Ay, minsan.
Depende.
Okay. So, how do you identify yours? How would you say your sexual orientation is?
I'm more attracted to male, but minsan I get attracted to females. Pero not, depende. Hindi ko alam. Hindi ko ma-explain rin. Minsan.
So, baka bisexual pero more on. Di ba?
Parang
bisexual, may ano pa rin naman. Parang mas may...
Hindi ko masabi rin. Sometimes kasi like, if I find someone, not in the physical sense, but more on the pagkausap mo, intellectually, you get attracted to like, pag-smart. Oo, pag-smart yung tao. Sa akin, pag-smart yung tao, doon ako na-attract.
Pero gets, kasi actually, for bi people, wala namang required na kailangan 50% attracted to males, 50% attracted to females. Hindi naman kailangan na pantay sila. You can be more attracted to males and attracted lang to females, and you're still a bi person or you're still a pansexual person.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then maybe. But again, I cannot dictate yan kasi syempre ikaw naman. But if you think na you're na-attract ka rin sa women or sa females, then maybe you're bi na mas attractive.
Kaya nga siguro paano pagtatanungin sa akin yan? Ano, magandang tanong yan eh. What is the best way to ask that? Napaisip tuloy ako na.
Oo. Correct. Kasi actually yung mga bi people kasi misunderstood yung mga bi people kasi maraming mga taong hindi naniniwala sa kanila na parang iniisip ng mga tao it's just a face. Di ba may kasabihan pa na buy now, gay later.
Natawa ko na lang. Buy now, gay later. Okay na.
Buy now, gay later. It sounds funny. It sounds funny, but it's actually offensive for bi people. Kasi we're erasing their identities, we're erasing their realities that they exist. When in fact, they really are bi people. And
that's a legit,
Oo. Yun. So, ganun. So, yun nga. Meron din namang mga lalaki na na-attract sa mga trans women. Meron din mga babae na na-attract sa trans female, and it doesn't make them less of a man or a woman kung attracted sila sa trans people.
Yes.
So, if you want to be more specific about it, they're also called trans-amorous people.
Okay.
Meaning, trans-amorous or trans-oriented, meaning they attracted to trans people.
Okay.
So, kunyari, trans-oriented males are attracted to trans females. And trans-oriented females are attracted to trans males. Ganun.
Okay.
Pero, again, hindi naman yun, it doesn't mean exclusively attracted to. Kasi merong mga males na attracted to both trans females and cisgender females. And they're straight males kasi they're attracted to females in general. Yeah.
Okay.
Galing.
Yeah. So I hope that clarifies.
Yes.
Okay, sige. So, just some issues and concerns that we should address. Number one, of course, maraming miyembro ng LGBT community ang naka-experience ng hatred, violence, and discrimination. So, sobrang important to understand our different experiences of gender and SOGIE in order for us to understand one another better and to avoid discrimination, hatred, and violence. So, sexism coupled with gender stereotyping makes trans people the most stigmatized and oppressed in the LGBT community. So, if you notice, in the acronym pa lang na LGBT, lesbian, gay, bi, they are sexual orientations. T, trans, is a gender identity. That's why nako-confuse yung mga tao. Iniisip nila, ang T ay sexual orientation din. Kaya nalilito tayo. But, and that's why pinaka-misunderstood, pinaka-stigmatized ang mga trans people. Even kunyari, in the academe, in the school setting, in the workplace, sobrang discriminated ng mga trans people. Okay lang sa trabaho, kunyari, an HR person would hire a gay man na nag-express masculine way. Pero hindi sila mag-hire ng trans woman na nag-express in a feminine way kasi for them, unprofessional yun. Pero, that's discrimination kasi my capabilities is not measured by the way by what I wear, by the length of my hair, by the, diba? It's not measured by my expression, but by my skills and experiences.
Yeah. Tama.
And then legal issues, as mentioned, very important to raise awareness and to pass bills into laws that will protect members of the LGBT community. Yeah. Number one na dyan, ang SOGIE Equality Bill. So again, the SOGIE Equality Bill, it's not just for members of the LGBT community, it's for every Filipino because it will protect every Filipino against discrimination on the basis of SOGIE. So for example, may cisgender heterosexual female na hindi hinire sa trabaho kasi babae siya. The SOGIE Equality Bill will also protect that cisgender heterosexual female. Diba? And hindi siya member ng LGBT community, but she will be protected by that same law.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I think kasi sa mga hindi masyado na-gets ng mga people against ng SOGIE bill, parang iniisip nila na for specifically sa LGBTQ community lang. Hindi na naisip na pati yung mga cisgender nga parang covered din with for the bill.
It's for every Filipino, it's for every SOGIE. And lahat po tayo may SOGIE. So lahat tayo protected. And hindi kami, the LGBT community is not asking for special rights. We're just asking for equal rights and protection by the state. Because we're also paying the same amount of taxes as everyone else. So we deserve the same level of protection from the government. That's why it's important to pass the SOGIE Parity Bill. In fact, 2000 pa yan. Si Senator Miriam Santiago pa ang nag-author ng SOGIE Parity Bill.
Siya pala?
Yeah, more than 2 decades na siya. Di pa rin siya naipapa.
Shucks, tagal na pala.
Yeah,
ganun na ka-progressive before na? Ganun na pala ka-progressive since 2000?
Si Miriam. Grabe.
Si Miriam. And former Akbayan Rep Eta Rosales back in 2000. So matagal na yun. And oh my gosh, pwede ba ipasa na natin kasi 2 decades na. So sobrang behind na ng Pilipinas when it comes to equality. But yun. So apart from that, of course, there's also laws recognizing gender identity or gender recognition law. So a gender recognition law is specifically helpful for trans people. So for example, ako, lahat ng legal documents ko, may IDs, may birth certificate, may passport, it says male. Yung pangalan ko is my name assigned at birth, which is male sounding. So this poses problems for me. For example, when I travel abroad, sa passport ko male, pero I present myself as feminine, and I identify as a woman. So I've been detained. I've been held at the immigration a couple of times kasi kine-question nila yung gender identity ko and my passport. Mga ganyan. From those experiences and even daily discomfort whenever I go to government offices and tatawagin yung pangalan ko na Mr. Dunka. Pero pagtayo ko, babae ako. So parang pagtingin ako ng mga tao. So, itong mga experiences na ito, hindi to na-experience ng mga cisgender people. So, these are unique struggles of trans people. And having our gender recognition law will allow us to change our gender markers from male to female, will allow us to change our names.
Good. That's good.
And we will be legally recognized by the state. So that's the most important. And
kasi sa passport din, di ba? Hindi rin siya, parang kailangan mo rin yun sa passport.
Oo, sa passport ko males eh. So kaya ako naka-hold sa immigration kasi nga male nakalagay.
Oo. Gets. Ang ano.
So yun, ito mga struggles namin yan na very unique to being trans. So if we have a gender recognition law, we will be able to address this. Pero unfortunately, wala. And then another is the same-sex SSM or same-sex marriage bill or same-sex marriage law. So it will allow same-sex partners to get married and be recognized by the state. Actually, even the civil union is enough. We're not after religion. We're not after religious marriage, just to be clear. We want to be recognized legally by the state in order for us to get the same rights that hetero and cisgender partners or couples get. Kunyari, when it comes to ownership of properties, when it comes to being the main contact when it comes to a health emergency. So for example, meron akong kilala na sa emergency room yung partner niya of 20 years. Pero dahil wala tayong ganitong law, hindi siya pinapasok sa ER kasi hindi siya recognized as the partner. Kasi wala tayong... So imagine, it's a matter of life and death. Na,
are all of these like parang pending na ngayon? Of course, yung SOGIE Equality Bill, it's pending. Pero yung SSM ba? Ngayon ba?
SSM, meron na rin, pending. Pero mas behind pa yun, lalo na more than SOGIE.
Mas behind pa kaysa sa SOGIE.
Yun. Right. So, again, we are not stepping on religious freedom, on anyone's religious freedom. It's about legal recognition of our rights. In order for us to be afforded the same level of protection by the government.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are legal issues. Next, medical issues. Hormone replacement therapy or gender-affirming hormone therapy and gender-affirming surgeries. You know, in other more progressive first world countries, these are actually subsidized by the government. Kunyari, in the Scandinavia, maraming countries doon like Sweden, for example, they subsidize hormones and surgeries for trans people because they recognize the needs of trans people to bridge the gap between their gender identity and internal gender identity and their external expression. So, for some people, this might sound superficial na gusto nyo lang naman magpa-opera, gusto nyo lang mag-hormones, but it actually eases us of the discomfort that we experience whenever we look at ourselves in the mirror and we are not comfortable with the person that we see. Especially for some trans people, may mga naka-experience sa amin ng gender dysphoria. And gender dysphoria is an issue experienced by a person wherein hindi congruent yung gender identity niya sa nakikita niya sa labas, sa kanyang expression, sa gender expression niya. Therefore, that person who has gender dysphoria experiences a lot of anxiety, sometimes depression. They want to mutilate their sex organs because they hate their sex organs. So it's really serious, and the only way to address gender dysphoria is through hormones and surgeries.
Surgery, yeah.
So that's why, you know, when you want to undergo surgery, required rin ang psychological evaluation kasi nga it's a serious matter.
Yes.
Okay. And lastly, socio-economic concerns, education and employment. Again, we are discriminated when it comes to in school, di ba? Bawal magpahaba ng buhok ang mga trans people. Sa employment din, kunyari a trans female applies for a job, tatanggapin lang siya kung magpapaikli siya ng buhok, kung magsusuot siya ng panlalaki. Pero by doing that, we are losing our sense of person. We are losing our truth, and hindi rin kami makapag-perform at our best if hindi kami komportable sa totoo ng sarili. And yun. So these are things that we experience, and it's important to understand these issues and concerns. Okay. Yeah. Any questions?
Good.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, sige. Last part na tayo. Sige. So how to be, for those of you who are wondering how you can be a true LGBTQIA+ ally. So I think this is a good way to end tonight's discussion kung paano tayo makakatulong sa ating mga kapatid na miyembro ng LGBT community. Number one, remember, you can tell someone's SOGIE just by looking. Kasi nga, as mentioned, when you look at a person, ang nakita mo lang yung yung expression lang. You don't know the person's SO or GI just by looking. Therefore, number two, never make assumptions about someone's SOGIE.
The best way. Yung pwede talaga yung matanong mo. Mas maganda matanong.
Yes. Which leads us to the next question. If you don't know what pronouns to use, listen first. Minsan kasi may mga context tayo narinig when we listen. And then, kung hindi pa rin tayo sure, tama kayong dalawa, ask appropriate questions politely. Ayan. So, tinanong ni Gian kanina, ano ba yung proper way of asking?
Yeah.
Diba? So, actually, for me, whenever I tell people about asking, meron tayong tinatawag na CIA of asking questions.
CIA. Okay.
Oo. The Central Intelligence Agency. Meaning ng CIA is context, intent, and approach. Okay. So context kailangan, alam mo yung konteksto mo. Ano ba yung context mo? Saan ka nang gagaling? Ano ba yung relationship mo doon sa person na tatanungin mo? Okay. So, kunyari, yung tatanungin mong person ay best friend mo, or kapatid mo, or anak mo, or dinedate mo, then of course, okay yun. Kasi gusto mo siya makilala, diba? When a person you are asking is, for example, a total stranger and wala ka namang relasyon sa kanya, you have to ask yourself, relevant ba talaga na tanungin ko? Diba? Or am I just plain curious? Yun yung context. And then, intent is, ano ba yung intention ko sa pagtatanong? Is it to understand the person better? To become closer to that person? If those are your intentions, then go. Kasi those are good intentions. Pero if your intention is to create chismis, wala lang, gusto mo lang magulo, then it's not a good intention and you should not ask. Yon. And then, approach, letter A, of course, you have to ask in the proper manner, in the proper approach. Kailangan politely, tama yung tone, and hindi nakakabastos. Yun. So, context can also differ. Kunyari, you're in a conference and you don't know kung ano ang SOGIE ng isang tao that's attending the conference. So yung context mo, of course, is someone organizing the event. Your intent is to understand and relate to the attendee better. And your approach is polite, then you can ask the person. And of course, a sample way, an example of asking is, excuse me, how do you want to, usually we can start pronouncing. How do you want to be addressed? What pronouns do you prefer to be used? Yun ang mga tamang tanong. How do you prefer to be addressed? What pronouns do you go by? What should I call you? Yun ang mga tamang if hindi mo kilala yung tao. Okay. Clear?
Clear.
Yeah, clear naman.
Again, next, number 5, don't ask a transgender person what their real name is. When I tell you that my real name is Janlee, my real name is Janlee. Kasi some of us, meron kaming tinatawag na dead name. Ang dead name namin is our name assigned at birth. Kung ano yung nasa birth certificates namin.
Alright.
So, a lot of trans people, they don't use their dead names. Kasi nga, they're not comfortable with the way it sounds. Kasi hindi siya okay for them.
It's not who they are.
It's not who they are anymore. So, let's not ask kung ano yung real name. Kung ano yung sinabi sa yung name, then yun na yun. Kasi when you ask their real name, the assumption here is, luloko ka. Na parang, why? Do you think I'm not real? Diba?
Or naghahanap ng chismis.
Correct. Yes. And then number 6, don't doubt someone when they tell you they're bisexual. Ito, na-discuss na natin ito kanina. Again, bisexual people exist at hindi lang siya face. Okay. And then 7, understand the differences between coming out as lesbian, gay, or bisexual and coming out as transgender. So the first is coming out with sexual orientation. And then the second one is coming out with gender identity. So magkaiba yun. So for in my case, for example, when I was in high school, I came out as a gay boy. And then when I was in college, I came out as a trans woman. So magkaibang comings out yun.
So isa is sa gender, sa identity, and then yung second is sa orientation. Ay, tama.
Hindi, una yung orientation, next yung identity.
Yes, tama. Next, orientation. Naantok na Dave. And then number 8, be careful about confidentiality, disclosure, and outing. When an LGBT person trusts you enough to share with you their SOGIE, respect that and protect that. Unless, of course, sinabi niya man sa'yo na okay lang to tell others, hindi okay na. Pero if hindi, syempre may mga security reasons yan eh. So, huwag nating ipagkalat. Okay. Number 9.
Agree ako dyan.
Diba? Kasi sometimes, masyado nating bibigyang halaga yung pagka-come out when in fact, wala naman dapat pressure to come out eh. Kasi kanya-kanyang kanya-kanyang time, kanya-kanyang pace yan. Kasi may ibang tao na hindi nila kaya mag-out kasi bawal sa family, bawal sa school, bawal sa work, bawal sa religion. And wag natin silang pilitin. Kasi nga, pwedeng makasama sa kanila kapag mag-out sila. Hindi naman ibig sabihin.
Pag kinuwentuhan ka, dapat sa'yo lang.
Dapat sa'yo lang at pangalagaan mo yun. Kasi, kasi nagkatiwalaan ka. So, again, this is a reminder. Kasi we put so much importance on coming out. When in fact, even if a person is not out, that person is still a member of the LGBT community. And it doesn't make them less. Hindi nila kayang mag-out kasi of so many reasons. And we should respect that. Huwag natin
that. Yeah. Respect lang, respect.
Yeah. And speaking of respect, number 9, respect the terminology a transgender person uses to describe their identity. So, for example, transgender is an umbrella kasi. May mga iba gusto nila transsexual. Kasi yung mga transsexual, sila yung those who have undergone gender-affirming surgeries. So, iba-iba. Similar to bisexual and pansexual. So, respect lang natin kung ano yung ginagamit na term. Then, number 10, be patient with a person who is questioning or exploring their SOGIE. Ayun, as I mentioned, it's really a process. It's a journey, and we shouldn't rush people. And we shouldn't pressure them to come out. To each his or her own time and pace.
Gusto ko yun. Ganda na number 10.
Diba? Kanya-kanyang oras yan. Tapos, number 11, there is no right or wrong way to transition and it's different for every person. So, ito for trans people, diba? May mga ibang trans people nagka-transition. May mga ibang trans people na hindi nagka-transition and that's okay. Kanya-kanyang experience yan ng identity and expression. And then, number 12, do not subscribe to the concept of passing. So, ang passing, it's a concept within the trans community. Ibig sabihin, you're passing or you are passable if your external appearance passes as the gender you identify as. So, kunyari, a transgender woman is passing kapag mukha siyang babae, kapag maganda siya. Okay. A transgender man is passing kapag mukha siyang lalaki, kapag gwapo siya.
So hindi yan okay kasi
So hindi siya okay. Hindi siya okay kasi it puts too much pressure on
subscribing.
Correct, to a specific look. But let's remember, hindi lahat ng trans people afford mag-transition kasi number 1, mahal yan. May bayad yung hormones. Number 2, hindi lahat kaya kasi bawal sa bahay, bawal sa school, bawal sa trabaho, bawal sa religion. Pwede rin namang ayaw nila, personal choice nila to not take hormones. Kasi, ayun lang. And so important to understand na transitioning is a privilege. It's not for everyone. Trans people are not trans because they transition. So, hindi requirement ang pag-transition para maging trans. Okay. So, wag po tayong, let's not subscribe to the concept of passing because it puts too much importance on the outside appearance when in fact, a trans person is more than the way he or she looks. Diba? Hindi lamang
Tama naman.
Diba? Kahit hindi siya mukhang babae. Kunyari, ang trans woman, kahit hindi siya mukhang babae, babae pa rin siya because that's her gender identity. Kasi common yan sa mga Filipinos sabihin, di ka naman mukhang babae, bakit sinasabi?
Totoo yan.
Diba? So, how hurtful is that? Diba? So, yun. Basically, Let live and let live. Yun lang. So, number 13, don't ask about a trans person's genitals, surgical status, or sex life. So, diba napag-usapan na natin yung CIA of asking questions. Kung may mga proper questions, meron din namang mga improper and rude questions.
Yeah.
So, common yan, lalo na yung, so meron ka na bang vagina? Diba?
Yeah.
Meron ka na bang boobs? So, to some people, it might sound trivial, it might sound funny, when in fact, it's invasion of privacy, diba? Kasi, would you ask someone about their genitals kung hindi siya trans person? Diba? Hindi naman, diba? So, bakit mo tatanungin yun sa trans person? So, it's just plain invasive, it's plain rude. So, wag po nating tanungin. Unless, of course, you're dating the person, kunyari. Then, of course, you have, unless, of course, you're a family member and you care for your daughter or for your sibling, then you can ask. Pero kung kunyari nakilala mo lang for the first time, tapos tanungin mo, di ba, ang bastos. So, yun. Huwag natin tanungin even about sex life, about genitals. Yun. And then avoid backhanded compliments and helpful tips. Common din yan sa mga Pilipino. Kunyari, sa mga trans people, sabihin, oy, ang ganda mo naman, muntik mo na akong maloko. Or, oy, ang ganda mo naman, sana pinanganak ka na lang babae. Or, oy, mas maganda ka sana kung wala kang Adam's apple. Yan. So, mga ganyang comments, common yan sa mga Pilipino. Naakala mo, kino-compliment mo yung tao, pero hindi talaga. Kasi, backhanded nga eh. Meaning, biglang kabig. Pwede mo nung sabihin, ang ganda mo, period. Ba't mo sabihin, ang ganda mo, muntik mo na ako maloko. Di makita niloko ah. I'm not fooling and I'm not trying to fool anyone because this is what
may parang may tawag doon pailalim na may deeper, parang tawag doon, Dave, parang may deeper meaning.
May oo.
Lagi may pero, parang gano'n.
Oo. May condition, parang gano'n.
Oo.
So, yun, iwasan natin yan. And then, number 15, challenge anti-LGBTQ plus remarks or jokes in public spaces, including LGBTQ plus spaces. Kasi this happens commonly. And even I myself, I must admit, minsan nahihirapan ako to challenge these remarks, especially kapag galing sa people of authority. But we must keep on challenging and correct, not just challenging, but correcting these remarks. Kasi, again, only through conversations can we spread awareness about gender equality and gender sensitivity. Yeah. So again, it doesn't mean naman na kapag challenge mo, magiging bastos ka. You can always do it in a proper, polite manner.
Yeah.
Correct. And then number 16, support all gender public restrooms, or actually gender neutral public spaces, not just restrooms. Kunyari, mga clubs, diba, na hindi discriminate, mga pubs, mga restaurants. Last na to. So 17, help make your group or company truly LGBT inclusive. So there should be policies that are gender inclusive, meaning hindi nagdi-discriminate based on gender or SOGIE, especially sa hiring process, diba? Also by doing efforts that promote gender sensitivity and equality, like this one. Kaya thank you, Experience Philippines.
Yay!
Thank you, Ren. No?
Thank you, Ren.
And then at meetings and events, set an inclusive tone. So, use inclusive terms. Luma na yung ladies and gentlemen. Pwede namang, good evening everyone. Good evening folks. Diba? Kunyari, hi guys. Ako ina-avoid ko na yung hi guys kasi yung guys, masyadong nasanay tayo sa guys pero hindi naman lahat guys. So, pwede namang hi friends, hi everyone, hi folks. Diba? Instead na chairman, pwedeng chairperson. Instead na policeman, police officer. Ayan. So again, hindi tayo aware sa mga ganito. Again, these things, microaggressions and things we don't usually notice, but so much to unlearn and learn. So let's always be gender inclusive whenever we speak to others.
So,
Number 19, listen to LGBT people, do your research. So if you really want to be an ally, and then read up on articles about us, about our stories, talk to us, ask us questions, and listen to us. And lastly, also know your limits as an ally. Syempre, as much as we appreciate your desire to help, may mga experiences kami na hindi nyo na-experience because your unique struggles to us. So, yun lang. Know your limits as allies.
Ano example ng limits?
Kunyari, yung unique experiences ko as trans person, kunyari, pag nahaharang ako sa immigration, you cannot tell me you understand because
you will not understand.
You will not, as this person will not understand. But you can listen, you can offer your ears to listen to my struggles and kwento. Yun lang, be careful lang, I guess, when it comes to communicating.
Gets. Cool.
Okay, so that's it. So it's important because everyone deserves respect, understanding, and acceptance, regardless of SOGIE.
Yay!
Tama naman.
Oh, yeah.
So, genderbread person, ito, pwede nyo itong i-google, genderbread person. Ito yung summary ng lahat ng diniscuss natin. There!
Okay.
Galing nga.
So guys, kung gusto nyo makita yung summary, just search genderbread person.
Genderbread.
Andito na lahat. No? Identity expression, biological sex, sex of birth.
Ayan.
Alright. I think na maganda to para sa community rin namin kasi not all people know about yung SOGIE, and how you identify yourself rin. Ikaw ang Gian, di ba? Parang ngayon parang ka kung bisexual ba or pansexual or na-question natin kanina yung na-realize natin kanina na na-realize natin kanina na sa bisexual hindi naman necessarily 50-50.
Totoo. Pero meron pa ako mas gusto na-appreciate ko mas na-appreciate ko yung expression kasi nga most of the time to base it on external rather than internal. Yun ang na-appreciate ko kasi parang we tend to be judgmental pag ano yung nakita natin sa labas. Ay, nakapalda siya. So, ayan, ano yan? Bex yan. Or ganun. Di ba?
Yeah. Parang, yung talagang kailangan maging sensitive lang is how we address the person. Like, kung ano nga yung pronouns, di ba? Nabanggit niyo. Kasi they have a preference. No? Kaya, it's better to focus on that kaysa yung sa gender expression nila. Can't assume.
I think it's also more of, syempre nag-sharing na, I think it's more of not just that. I think in general, it doesn't really apply to just the part of the LGBTQ community. Like, you can also be very judgmental on a person based on what you see lang. Oy, kumakain lang sa mini-stop, mahirap yan. Or parang ganun type. Ano mo yun?
Yeah.
Gets mo, parang hindi siya, you start becoming more conscious of why that the external doesn't really reflect what is internal or what goes to the
tama ka dyan. Parang general guiding principle yan in life na parang don't judge a book by its cover, basically.
Doon ko siya na-appreciate ko siya doon. Like, doon ko na parang like, I have friends who design clothes for gender neutral. Like, he doesn't have any specific kung sino gusto magsuot ito. If you're a man or a woman, okay lang. Kung parang pag ina-outfit pa nga niya, parang cool nga. Parang parang you get to appreciate that hindi lang pala yung nakasanayan mo, hindi lang yun. Yun ang point ko lang. Lalim na.
Thank you. I hope you learned a lot from our
sobra. Sobrang dami ko.
Kahit nag-session na tayo last week. Nagdagdagan pa rin ngayon. Kasi mas nagka-discussion rin tayo ngayon.
Totoo. I think they should really teach this every time. Like there should be like
naisip ko nga sa interns natin
they should be they should watch this episode again and they should be I mean not just for the intern, even for everyone. I think it's makakatulong kasi especially for us Philippines, parang we are just tolerant. That's my opinion lang. Tolerant tayo sa LGBT community but we're not accepting.
Yes, and tolerance is different from acceptance. Kasi
yes, I agree with that.
You only tolerate things you don't like.
Oo. Parang yun na napansin ko lang. Kasi may mga terms that you use that are derogatory or discriminating. Like the word bakla.
Yes.
Diba? Oh, nababakla ka na naman. Parang ganyan. Or parang ganyan, diba? Parang negative yung connotation lagi. Galing. Ito appreciate ko talaga.
Kung truly accepting tayong mga Pinoy, dapat may SOGIE quality bill na, may same-sex marriage. Pero wala.
Delayed na for so many years.
Kaya mga tao na,
grabe. 21 years na yun. 2000 pa yun.
Kaya mga tao nagsasabi na, I love you, you're my, I mean, merong mga iba na friends daw sila ng LGBT people. Pero sabihin nila, I love you and you're my friend, but you don't deserve to have the bill or the
yung bill.
So, wow. Diba? It's conditional type of love, diba? So anong klase?
Condition, may condition ng pag-ibig.
Correct.
So,
super thank you, Janlee. As in, dami namin natutunan. Pero panalo ako sa Q&A. Feeling ko ako yung nanalo sa Q&A.
I-watch ko to, magtatali ako ng points. Actually, ang naisip ko pwedeng paggawa sa mga susunod. Talagang medyo interactive na sa interns pwede i-test na.
Oo nga.
May points.
Para maintindihan lahat.
Yeah, makakasanayan din Actually, tayo nasanay na tayo.
Oo nga.
Yeah, I love this discussion.
I loved it as well. I love it. It's a really good discussion.
Thank you.
Na-open ang dami ako natutunan. Yun na yung masasabi ko. Ayan, we don't have much time. Ikaw, Dave. Minsan natin Dave.
Ako wala na. Pero I think something good na we can do, kung may last messages ka to our viewers, no? Go. Kung meron kang last messages na gusto.
I think yung message ko na lang, kasi at the end of all the discussions about gender, about SOGIE, about gender equality and sensitivity, diba? At the end of all the arguments, what remains to us is our humanity. And diba? But how hard is it to just understand and accept one another? Diba? What harm will it do to just accept your neighbor? Diba? Hindi ka naman masasaktan eh. Hindi mo na kailangan pa ng logical reasoning to accept someone kasi it's just your humanity eh. And yun na lang, at the end of everything, yun na yung matitira sa'yo. It's your humanity and the empathy. And I hope yun yung mamayani sa mga tao na yung pagtanggap sa isa't isa.
Yeah. Agree ako dyan. Solid yan.
Yeah, that's great. And I think you also have may mga iba ka pang ginagawa other than this. I think yung Kings and Queens, no? You mentioned it before. And you're also part of Love Yourself Inc. ba? Am I right?
Yeah. So as mentioned, I'm a volunteer of Love Yourself and Spaces MNL. It's a platform on Facebook. Meron kaming different shows spearheaded by members of the LGBT community. Merong drag queen shows. So, ang daming iba't ibang klaseng shows. So, if you're interested, visit Spaces MNL on Facebook. And then I have 2 shows there. Number 1 is called Fact You or Fact University, where we talk about issues relating to the LGBT community and we correct misinformation. Kaya it's called Fact You. So, it's every other Monday, 8 p.m. And then my other show is Kings and Queens. It's late night chikahan naman. This one is more casual. Chikahan about intimate stuff. By the title itself, Kings and Queens, so more relating to personal issues about sex, about anything actually na pag-usapan about LGBT community. So that one naman every Friday night, 9 p.m. 10 p.m. every Friday.
Grabe, super busy mo pala, no? Sobra.
Ang dami, no?
Solid na kabisi.
Yeah, so guys, I included everything in the comment section. No? So the Kings and Queens, even you Love Yourself, I think they have programs for the LGBT community, and also Spaces MNL. No? You guys can check out yung mga social media there. Yeah. All right.
Yay.
Okay, thank you so much for this.
No, thank you. Kami mas marami natutunan.
Oo nga, for spending time educating us. As in, sobra. Legit yun. Legit.
No problem. So, ulitin.
Yes, oo. Tsaka yun, syempre dahil pang tanong. Saan na natatanong? But anyway, guys, if you guys want to follow us also, you can actually check out our Facebook group called Experience Philippines. So that's a community na good vibes lang. So you get to meet inspiring people as well who are also travelers, and yun. So parang kung gusto niyo lang, sali din kayo dyan. So yan. So maraming salamat. Maraming salamat, Dave, Janlee. So tonight, it's a really good night. I learned a lot.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Sobrang saya.
Panalo pa rin ako. So,
hindi. Competitive ako eh. I-check ko lahat yan.
Sa Matrix na yun. Madami ako nakuha sa Matrix na yun. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow again.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Picture rin tayo.